Welcome to our lecture on home purchase decisions. Real estate investing can go really deep into the weeds. There can be courses, and there are courses. There's certifications on real estate investing, and that's not what this is going to be. This is going to be a very short lecture on some of the financial implications of purchasing a home. So the chapter will go through things like differentiating your net worth statement from a purchase standpoint and from a rent standpoint. So many people think that buying real estate is the best thing to do, and renting is nothing more than throwing away money. And we talk a little bit about that in the chapter, but I think that's a represented idea and philosophy when it comes to real estate. So what I want to do is just kind of talk through some of the aspects of the real estate transaction so that you have some familiarity with what's going on. My guess is that for many of you, this purchase of a home will probably not be for another couple of years. And by then, you're going to probably need to get a refresher. And at the same time, you're probably going to need to make sure you're up to speed and up to date on all of the regulations, because real estate purchase and transactions, they change. Expectations change, interest rates change, legislation changes. So there's a lot of things that will change. So in this lecture, what I want to do is I want to talk about three main points. One is the down payment and its significance in the transaction. Two, I want to talk about closing costs. And three, I want to talk about prepaid items. Okay. Now, again, I want to make sure that I preface that this lecture is going to be fairly short, and it's going to be very high level. Again, I don't expect all of you to be real estate investors or brokers and being able to talk through these types of things with a prospective client that's getting ready to purchase a home, but you need to be familiar with some of the terminology and some of the expectations. So, the down payment. The down payment is extremely important, and for a lot of people, they will enter into the home purchase transaction with very low down payments, and that is primarily because there's been so much advertising in this idea of getting into a home with, zero down or very low, maybe 1, 2, 3% down payment. So what I'd like to do is I'm going to put right here a number. Okay. 20%. As of right now, 20% is kind of the expectation that you are putting down significant amount of the purchase price of a home that is going to make the lender feel very comfortable and reduce any potential loss that a lender has when it comes to loaning you money. So the lender wants to say, I will provide you up to 80% of the purchase price of the house. You pay the other 20%. Lenders are very comfortable with that type of situation. Unfortunately, when lenders get into a lending situation where the borrower is putting in less than 20%, so anywhere from 0% to 20%, 20% plus, we find ourselves in a situation that the lender is typically going to require us to purchase what's referred to as PMI. And this is private mortgage insurance. Now, here's the thing about PMI, private mortgage insurance. It is an insurance product that is insurance against you as the borrower defaulting or not being able to make your payments when they're due. So a bank will say, if you're going to put down less than 20%, we are going to require you to purchase a private mortgage insurance policy on yourself. And you are purchasing that policy in case you do not make your own payments. Well, if you will make your payments, if you're for some reason just deciding to put down a low down payment, you're going to be forced into making or having private mortgage insurance on yourself to make sure you make your payments. And for many products, many loans, that never goes away. Your private mortgage insurance will stay on your loan if you are in an FHA loan, I believe. If you're in a conventional loan, I think it drops off. But again, I don't want to get into the details. I would have to freshen up on some of the aspects of PMI. But just know that PMI is an insurance product you have to pay for if you are putting down less than 20%. So I would encourage you, if you can at all, put down the required minimum of 20% of the value of the home that you're getting ready to purchase. Okay, closing costs. Closing costs are going to be fees that you pay. So fees paid for the transaction. Okay, some of these examples are going to be things like title insurance. And just a brief comment about title insurance. Title insurance is an insurance product that is purchased so that if someone ever comes and says, no, this land 50 years ago was not correctly titled, or it was stolen from my family and it's legally mine. If you have title insurance and they did a title search and did all of the title company did all of their due diligence, then you are not going to be out any value, right? So if for some reason that house or that property is found to be passed incorrectly or titled incorrectly, or you can't claim a legitimate ownership of that property for whatever reason, that title insurance will make you whole. So you're paying for that. You also have, let's say, your appraisal fee on your house. When you go and get a loan, the bank is going to hire an appraiser. An appraiser is going to come out to the home. They're going to not so much inspect it, but they're going to see what has been done to the home, and they're going to do a comparison, an appraisal, using other properties to determine its value, and that's for the bank. You may also have things like the loan origination fee, right? The bank may charge a fee to put all of the loan documents together. And there may be a few other things that are involved in that, but it's important to know that this is going to run about, and this is average, about 3% of the value of the home. So if you're buying a $100,000 home, you might expect to pay about $3,000 in closing costs. Okay. Now, you're also going to have things like prepaid items. Now, keep in mind, these are prepaid. These are going to be items that you are paying for something in advance that will be paid later. A lot of times here we will see your home insurance premium. We'll also find typically our taxes. And if you happen to have this nasty PMI, you typically will pay 1 year premium of PMI. Okay, so this insurance is going to collect your first year's premiums, and you have to pay for these things up front, typically for the first year. So you're paying your first year's home insurance, your first year's of taxes, and your first year premium of PMI. This normally will come to about 1%, roughly. Again, I'm generalizing this idea roughly. Okay, so we have prepaid items, we have closing costs, and we have our down payment. So let's just kind of go through a very short example. Let's suppose you find a house that is, and we're going to just use this round number, $100,000, and you are wanting to buy this house. And the reason this is so important is because this will really begin to influence your decision when it comes to purchasing and or renting. The first thing is we're going to have our down payment. And let's say that we actually abide by the rule and we're going to put down 20%. So we're going to put down $20,000. Okay. Next thing is we're going to have to make sure that we pay our closing costs. Now, before I get into all the details and have students, say that this is incorrect, all of these things are negotiated between the buyer and the seller. So just because I'm stating that the 3% closing costs is there, doesn't always mean that the buyer is going to be the one to pay that fee. But what I'm trying to do is just lay out a situation that would say the buyer is going to pay all of these fees. Doesn't mean that's going to be the case, but for this example, so that you kind of illustrate the point, if you'll just bear with me. All right, so then we have our closing costs. Okay, our closing costs would run around $3,000 at a 3% amount. And then we have our prepaids. Now keep in mind, the closing costs we do not get back. Our prepaid costs are going to be roughly around $1,000. And that is going to be something that will be used, so we're not losing it, but we still have to make sure that we bring to the table this amount of money. So for a $100,000 house, we are bringing $24,000 to the table at closing. Okay, so the $20,000 will go to the equity of the house, so you're not losing that. The prepaid costs are still an expense. You're just prepaying an expense that's going to occur in the future. And then the closing costs are going to be these one-time fees that you will not get back. So this amount right here is going to reduce your net worth by $4,000. In this $100,000 transaction, you are basically giving up $4,000 when you buy this property. Okay, so you just need to understand that when you make this transaction, if your net worth, if you had $4,000 in your savings account and you have to purchase this property, you are gaining the property, you're gaining the liability of $80,000, but your net worth is going to go down by $4,000. It's going to take you some time to get back up to that break-even point. So anyways, again, I just wanted to highlight some of the different aspects of the home decision, the down payment, the closing costs, and the prepaid items, just from an overview, how they work. So you can have a little bit of an idea of when you begin to think through this home decision, these are some of the things that you'll want to take into consideration. I hope this is helpful.